So welcome back, everyone. Lovely to see you all as always. And let's begin by going straight into the superpower state. So take a deep breath and either close your eyes or leave them open, whichever you prefer. And go into your superpower state, however you normally do that. So using your word or phrase or your anchor, or by focusing in on everything you love about your subject. Very good. And allow that expansion feeling in your chest, that opening feeling in your heart. Good job. As that light or energy shines out from you, and allow that light or energy to spread down to your toes, up to the top of your head and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. Very good job. Now allow that light or energy to fill each of the 50 trillion cells that make up your body. Love each little cell, just for it. Very, very good. And now allow that light to fill the little you, yourself as a child, any age. Love that child just for existing. No judgment, no expectations. Just exactly as they are. Very good. And now allow that light or energy to overflow from you and fill everyone who's on the call today. All those who are on camera, all those who are off camera today. And imagine this light, this energy, overflowing from each person on the call and filling their whole childhood. So flooding each person's childhood with this same light, this energy, no matter what, shining this light into any darkness. Very, very good. Good job. All right, you can open your eyes if you have them closed, and let's check in with each person, find out how you're doing. So Monika, you're first up on my screen. How are you today?
Oh, thank you, Odille. Very much better.
Good. Oh, good.
Yes, yes. The next what came up was this morning a feeling of resignation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so that feeling of resignation, what's the sensation? How do you know it's?
It makes me sad and sitting and wanting to do nothing.
Okay. Very good. And so what's wrong with just sitting and doing nothing?
So far it's nothing wrong, but I would like to feel happy.
Yeah.
And to say, oh, now I don't feel any pain, and I would like to go out then and to say what a nice day. And yes.
You don't feel like doing that right now?
No.
Okay, very good. And so did you notice when this feeling of resignation started, what else was happening at the time, or what you were thinking about or dealing with?
No, not. No, I woke up and sit there, and it's like I live alone, and I could do what I want.
Yeah.
I can go outside. I can go by bicycle. can take a walk. I really, it's perhaps I can go and take a tea somewhere, but no, I don't want to do anything.
Yes, okay, very good. And so you are not alone. This is very common. So this is the case with a lot of people. I'll tell you something as well that's interesting, is that even people who are generally happy sometimes feel that. I know I do. Sometimes I just feel like I don't know I don't feel like doing anything. And
Mm-hmm.
so the answer then is to allow yourself, because we're so, a lot of us, raised with, you have to be doing this, you have to always be busy, you have to achieve. And if you don't work hard, then you won't get all of that. And the truth is, the most important, and in fact, the only thing that creates results is how we're feeling. And so, but that doesn't, so, but then we have the thing of, oh, I've got to find a way to feel good. I've got to find a way to feel good. And that is the case. We do need to find a way to feel good, but sometimes the way to feel good is to allow that feeling of whatever the bad is. So this is, of course, the new technique that we've discovered, the allowing technique. So let's look at that. So I want you to think of the feeling of just focus in on the physical sensation of, I don't feel like doing anything. Can you do that? Good. And I want you to now imagine the little you in front of you, little Monika, any age, and I want you to give her permission to not do anything. She doesn't have to do anything. She can just sit and be. She can just sit and be. She's alive. She can just be in the moment, and there's no expectations. There's no judgment. Can you do that? Good. And what happens when you do that?
Yes, it feels good, and it remembers me to one situation where I was a child, perhaps 12, 13 years old, sitting in my room and doing nothing. I only was looking to the window, and my grandmother comes in. She asked me, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Nothing."
Yep.
And she couldn't understand how this is possible.
There you
And
go.
I felt so good in this moment, only to sit and be.
This is so wonderful, Monika, because this is going to help a lot of other people as well. It's not long ago, it's probably only, I don't know, a few months ago, that I discovered that value of just sitting staring. And everyone should have moments like that, where you are allowed to just sit and just be. Whether you're staring out the window, or you're even just staring into the distance, or you've got your eyes closed, it doesn't matter. Just sitting and doing nothing is doing something.
Oh, yes, yes, that's true.
Sitting doing nothing does more to get you what you want, as long as it feels good, than any action you could be taking. And the most powerful piece of that is giving yourself permission to do it. That's where the extra power is that feeling of, I'm allowed to just sit here and do nothing, and it's okay.
That's it. Yes, yes, yes.
Very good. And so in addition to just doing that, just giving yourself permission to do that, you can also, of course, change that memory to where your grandmother comes in and says, what are you doing? And you say, nothing. And she goes, ah, do you mind if I join you? And you both just sit, and you don't have to talk, you don't have to do anything. Either that, or whichever feels better. Or she goes, oh, okay, sorry to disturb you, and she goes and she allows you to, and maybe she says, that's a good thing to do every now and then. It's very important, it's very healthy, because that's true.
Yes, I think about this, what I will to.
Good.
Thank you very
Yes,
much.
and you can do all of those. You know, your subconscious will question. You can do different versions of it, and that's also
Oh,
yeah.
oh, that's possible. Different
Absolutely,
versions.
absolutely, because it's different pieces of data. So because your subconscious doesn't file things chronologically, like in order, it doesn't matter. It's just pieces of data. So you can have the same memory and different versions of it.
Okay.
And that's okay too.
Oh, I didn't know. Yes, thank you.
Sound good?
Yes, very good.
Very
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to chime in with the fact that that was a memory of when you were 12 or 13 years old. There's probably earlier references to that little you learning or knowing that it's not a good thing to be sitting around doing nothing.
Yes, yes.
And the fact that your grandmother is coming in and saying this, there's a good chance that she grew up as a little girl and she always had to be busy doing something. So if you can go back and reimagine what it was like for her as a child, can you give her a childhood where she didn't have to be busy all the time? So it's adding more references to that so that you know that you come from a long line of people who value that in their lives.
Yes, 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 yes.
And here's the thing. So for anybody else who's watching this and worried about being lazy or never getting anything done, here's the truth about laziness. I don't believe there is such a thing as lazy in the context that people talk about it. I believe there's such a thing as not having excitement, inspiration, motivation, and that is misunderstood as laziness. But if you sat and did nothing all day, just as long as you're feeling good, and you just sat and just felt good, just being there, just listening to your breathing or just doing nothing at all, eventually, or even if you sat and watched TV all day, it doesn't matter. As long as you're feeling good, eventually you would feel inspired to do something. They would be like, oh, I'm going to do this. Your ideas would come. You'd suddenly have the energy, the motivation, because those feel-good chemicals, it'll be bringing down the stress chemicals and producing the feel-good chemicals that make you want to do stuff. All right. So that's why you can give yourself complete permission without any worries, knowing that as long as you're feeling good, you will eventually get round to doing something, but it will feel good to do the thing. You won't be making yourself do it. So thank you very much for this topic, Monika, because I know that it will help a lot of others as well.
Thank you, Odille.
You're very
welcome.
Thank you, Steve. You're very welcome. It's lovely to have you with us. All right. And Lisa, you're next up on my screen. How are you today?
Fine. How are you?
Good. Very good. Thank you.
I'm going to be, it's Tiara Tuesday, by the way. Yay. Okay. So this is from your Superpower book. It is page number 36. And I picked randomly, so
Right.
you can use your superpower for any kind of relationship, from those with your family and friends to spouses, partners, clients, bosses, work colleagues, and strangers. It works from any distance, and it works even if you've never met the person. The most important thing to remember is that in order for it to work, you need to make sure that you are completely filled with your power yourself before you aim it at anyone else. So I like that too. I love it. I love it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lisa. And thank you for sharing that. And yes, most important thing is to, before you try sending it to other people. So, some people say, well, I can't send love to this, or I can't send unconditional love to this person because of whatever. One of the key points is to make sure you're filled with it yourself first. Love for yourself. So loving all the cells of your body, filling yourself up with that feeling, and then you can allow it to overflow from you to other people. It's much easier because you can't give what you don't have. So thank you, Lisa, for sharing that. That's fantastic. Good one.
I have a quick question. Okay, so when you first started getting into this power, so what was the first time you felt like you have this? Oh my gosh, this is so cool. Yeah, it really works. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. It's so long ago that I don't know if I can remember the very first thing. I know that it was a process. I know that as it made sense to me that unconditional love is what we're all made of, and that it's a power rather than an emotion. And I know that I struggled with it a lot. So I knew that I needed to do it, but I struggled to do it because I didn't have the exercises that we teach now. I didn't have the beginner's exercise even. I was just trying to feel love, which was really, really hard from where I was, the stress state I was in. I had fibromyalgia and IBS. I was very stressed. Of course, my finances, and and I was in conflict, relationships, and there were all kinds of things going on. So just trying to feel love in the moment was really hard. And I can't remember when exactly it had. There's probably more in the book actually than I can remember right now. I know I share quite a bit of it in the book, but I think that there were the things that stand out were when I managed to send it to the people who I was in the court case with, and they called me. That was a huge moment when I thought, because I wasn't expecting it to affect them, I was just expecting it to make me feel better. And when she called me and apologized, that was like, whoa, there's something spooky going on here. So that was a big thing. There were several experiences with money. Of course, now I know, when I wrote the book, I did not know this, but now I know that you also need to change the childhood memories, the references. So although it improved my financial experiences, it certainly improved the stress, that I wasn't so stressed by it, but I still didn't fix the finances using just the superpower. I thought I had, but of course then the patterns replayed themselves. So I handled them better, but still physically, I could still not pay my bills. I was still unable to pay my bills. I was still cleaning houses and all that. So changing the childhood memories together with the superpower is what really, turned my life around. And then there were other things like the iPod. I know that I mentioned that in the book. And so there were several things that I was able to experience as a result of doing the superpower. Does that answer the question?
Oh, yeah, very good. Because the childhood memory changing is really the key too. So
absolutely. And living from that state of unconditional love is the most empowered you can be. But if you've got the negative childhood memories, that's preventing you from living in that. And I didn't know this, of course, at the time. I didn't realize that was the case, that's preventing you from being able to fully live from that state.
Mm-hmm. That is very good.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for your question as well. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, and so Swasti, you look very cute today.
Thank you.
How are you today?
Trying something different.
Yeah, looks
yeah, I'm good, thank you. I've been on the opposite end of not doing anything. I've been trying to find like volunteer work and just work in general, because all I have left now is just to send off the application tomorrow and then interviews in December to March, but that's only going to be like 4 of them. So yeah, so I've been doing that. But then in terms of like the childhood memory stuff, so whenever I felt like there was a piece of like my parents kind of leaving situation, and I can't change me crying, like in the house in India, I'm just standing there crying. So my parents try and comfort me. There's a bouncy castle, there's music, but I'm still crying.
Still crying. Yes. Okay. Good one. All right. So the crying. So when you have that memory and you notice the crying, can you feel the sensation in your body? Do you feel that crying as well, or is it just a visual?
Oh, yeah, I feel this kind of weakness in the legs. kind of shaking.
Good. Okay, good job, sweetie. And now I want you to just allow that sensation to be there. So we're going to separate the meaning. There's no judgment. You just allow that sensation of the weakness in your legs to just be there. Are you able to do that? Doesn't need to stop. We don't need to change it or judge it.
Yeah, and then it goes away.
Very, very good. All right. So I want you to see if you can step into that memory as you are now. So the adult you, step into that memory with the little you. Are you able to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Good. And then I want you to have that little you in front of you, and she's crying, and ask her what she needs. And see if you get an answer. If you don't get an answer, that's okay.
She says food.
Pardon?
Hungry.
Food. She's hungry. Okay, very good. And so can you give her some food?
Yeah.
And what do you think the food represents to her?
Yeah, probably like love, attention, affection.
Very good. And so with you there, so start with, can you give her the love and attention that she needs?
Yeah, I can pick her up and like give her a hug.
Very good. And what happens as you do that? Does she continue to cry, or does that change?
Yeah, it's like toddler kind of when they scream and shout and spread their legs and arms out.
So then put her down and let her just do that. Let her do the tantrum. She's okay. It's okay to do that. There's no need to stop her from crying. Can you do that? Can you just give her full rein?
Yeah, and then she kind of like crawls away.
Okay.
Well, stops crying first of all.
Stops crying. And so how is she feeling now?
Yeah, just happily playing one of those I don't know, toddler jungle gym.
And so this is a really good opportunity to talk a little bit about that as well, is that, you know, we're wired to stop babies and children from crying. That's an instinct we have. Most of us, we hear a child crying, we have this automatic, unconscious drive to stop them from crying, to make them okay. But the truth is that, especially with tantrums are just, and crying and all of that is they're expressing themselves. They're not happy for whatever reason, and we all like to express ourselves. You know, if we're angry about politics or the neighbors or whatever, we like to have a good go at it as well. So we have words, whereas young children very often, and even older children and teenagers sometimes just don't have the words, and so whatever comes out is an expression. And there's some magic that happens when you allow a child or a baby to cry and you just be there for them. So offering them comfort and support, but not making them stop crying. So in other words, just going, I completely understand, and I'm really sorry you're feeling this way. And then just allowing them to express themselves. And what happens eventually is that expression brings down the stress chemicals. That allowing and ability to get it out helps to bring down the stress chemicals, and then they start to feel better. So that's, of course, with actual children physically, but we can do the same thing in the imagination with the little us. Allow that child, that little you, to express in whatever way they're expressing. But with the attitude and the intention and the feeling of, it's okay and I love you. You're okay and I love you. So, you know, I know that certainly my grandmother, I think, used to do, or my mum or whatever, used to go, well, just cry. Or whatever. So we don't want to do it like that. We want to go with reassurance and allowing rather than washing my hands off you kind of thing. It's being there and allowing the person or the child to cry and express themselves and going, you're okay, sweetheart, I love you. You are allowed to express your feelings.
Yeah, there's allowing technique works at so many different levels. It's very powerful.
That's right. Yes.
Okay.
So how does that seem to you, Swasti? Does that feel good?
Good. Yeah, that was like there's tension around it. Now it's gone.
Good. Very, very good. Good job. And then once that's once you feel that that's changed, that's shifted, then you can put in place the new memory again. Check that that's all fine, and you can just keep tweaking like that. Just keep allowing and changing and allowing and changing, and progressing like that.
Okay.
And while we're on the topic, for everybody, you may also want to do that for your parents and grandparents. So you can see how it goes, but if there's sticky bits, then you can imagine them as children and their parents going, "It's okay, sweetheart. You're allowed to express your feelings. I understand you're frustrated, and that's okay. And I love you."
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
I just want to also add, as you're doing this, as you're giving expression, using your imagination to imagine the little you expressing, also be aware if there's like, what we've also done is, obviously the do justice letters is kind of a way of doing that. So if there feels like, if you can imagine handing the little you a crayon or a pen, actually sitting down, and it's like, give yourself permission. It's just like, maybe you just need to scribble it out on a page. So there could be that physical expression. Also be aware if there's like some kind of a vocal thing that needs to happen. So you may not feel comfortable doing this in a situation where you're with other people, but if you're someplace, and it's just be aware of like, is there a sound, or is there a word, or is there just like some kind of some kind of a vocal expression. Allow that to happen as well. So you're just giving voice to, you're giving expression to oftentimes those feelings that have been repressed or trapped in there for a very long time.
So is this like giving the crayon in the memory? So when you're trying to use a memory?
In the memory, or actually physically just doing that. Sit there with a piece of paper and a crayon and just allow whatever is there.
Okay. Yeah. That's cool.
All right. Good.
Very good. Thank you, Steve. So how's that, Swasti? Is that good, or do you need any more?
Yeah, I think that's good. Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. And Sadia. Hi, Sadia. How are you today? Thank you so much for sharing on Facebook. We really, really appreciate that.
Well, thank you to you, because I'm getting so much value from that. So Sylvie is getting right. I actually have a question. Well, the thing is, I've been using the yellowing technique, and it's like, okay, now I know how to use it, but there are times where I'm still struggling with it. And one of the issue that I have is like, I made feeling good one of my top priority.
Good.
But since a while, it's been like, there's something, it's like I'm not feeling good, and I can't tell why. And like, it's like my brain wants to feel good, but it's like, there's still a constant fight in my head about feeling good. So I was wondering, and I tried the yellowing technique because I received one of your wonderful emails from the newsletter of you explaining that person, and I tried to allow the feeling of not feeling good. But the point is, it's like it's still there, and I can't find a way to change it. Yeah, so I was wondering what would be your advice on that.
Of course, yes. So let's have a look at this. So how do you know that you're not feeling good? So in other words, how do you know that you're not feeling good right in that moment?
It's like a feeling, well, when you feel good, you feel good, I don't know. It's like I feel, I think it's the peace. I feel like I do not have the peace. That peace of mind.
All right. Okay, good. Yes, because there's lots of different ways of, so there's lots of when we're not feeling good, it could be a lot of different feelings or experiences. Sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's sadness, sometimes it's hopelessness or whatever. So it's good to home in on what that kind of feeling is. And so when you've done the allowing technique with it, what happens? Does it stay exactly the same? Does it change and come back, or what happens?
Well, I felt it was kind of a constant change. Like I tried the method, for example, if what I feel had I don't know how, if it had a face, if it had a feeling, what would it be like? And each time, okay, it would be something different, but it's still like it's like something's not, quite white.
Yes.
Right, but it's like I don't know what it is, and it makes me feel uncomfortable. Where I know there are worries in it, like it's like sometimes it's voice of self-critical thinking that's not helpful. Like me criticizing myself for not feeling good is also there, and yeah, so it's kind of, it depends, and it changes all the time. So it's kind of
All right, very good. So let's dive into this a little bit. So I want you to notice the physical sensation. So can you feel that feeling now of not feeling good? That same feeling?
definitely, yeah.
Good, very good. Good job, sweetie. All right. So and now I want you to home in on the physical sensation. So for anybody new to this, if you put your hand on your leg and feel the feeling of the sensation on your hand, the sensation on your leg. That's what we're looking for, the physical sensation with no label, no thoughts, no judgment. And can you home in on that physical sensation wherever you feel it in your body? Are you able to do that?
Yes.
Good. And as you do that, we're not going to judge it, and we don't need to make it go away. It's okay to feel that. It's just a sensation. It doesn't mean anything. Are you able to do that?
Yeah.
All right. So let me also ask you this. So what's wrong with this particular physical sensation that you feel when that feeling comes? Why is it a problem to feel this physical sensation?
I know that would sound weird to say, but it's like I want to feel good. I want to feel joy. I want to feel like, I'm moving, doing something great, excitement, all this. It's not there.
That's okay. So here's a little bit of a kind of contradiction and conundrum that happens for us, is when you're not feeling good, as you think, I want to feel good, why can't I feel good? Of course, you're pumping more stress chemicals into your system, so you're stopping yourself from feeling good. All right. So because it's where we're putting our focus is determining the chemicals that are being produced. While we're thinking about the fact that we're not feeling good, we're putting more stress chemicals in. So I'm going to suggest to you to do the same as I suggested to Monika, is to just be. And so for the moment, you will feel good, but at the moment, just be. Just see if you can just focus on just being still, and you can stare or you can just relax, so that you bring down that you bring down that struggle, and just give yourself permission to just be. So there's no requirement, there's no judgment, there's no expectations. If you sat and did absolutely nothing for the rest of your life, you would be okay.
My brain is like, it's another story, but yeah.
And
this is the point.
that won't happen. You won't sit and do nothing for the rest of your life. You may sit and do nothing for a day, 2 days, even a week, and that's okay. But eventually, as long as you are just allowing yourself to just be, and you're doing what feels good in the moment. So, because here's the thing, there is that kind of fine line between I need to do something to make myself feel good and making yourself do stuff. So what you want to do is what feels good right now. And if watching some comedy feels good right now, then do that. If doing some physical exercise feels good right now, do that. Listening to music, whatever it is. But if nothing feels good right now, then don't worry about doing anything. Just allow yourself, in other words, say to yourself, I don't have to do anything. I can sit here and just be and just allow and allow and allow. And eventually you're going to feel like doing something. Eventually you'll think, I feel like doing this or I feel like doing that. And it doesn't have to be big excitement. It might just be, yeah, maybe I feel like going for a walk. And then go for a walk, listening to an audiobook, whatever it is. So you want to be gently with yourself and follow the tide for the moment without needing to fight against it or make it happen or anything like that. Because this time you will eventually feel, you will eventually get that back, that excitement or whatever. And also bear in mind that excitement, feeling good, is not the constant state. That's dopamine. And that we're not designed to be constantly excited. That dopamine is for discovering new things or, being, so that dopamine is for novelty and new stuff. And so, and enjoying things, and then it comes down. So you want your baseline to be that feeling when you're just sitting, staring, and it just feels good. That's your baseline. And then anything above that is great, but it's not, you don't have to constantly strive for that. Does that make sense? Now you'll have more of that in your life. I know I do. Once you've changed those memories and you're doing the superpower more, so that level will go up a little bit, but it doesn't have to. You don't have to maintain that all the time because you'd be exhausted. Because we're not meant to be like that. So there's ups and downs, but the main thing is to allow and not be trying to make it happen. You want to allow it to happen. And if it's not happening, allow that. So the sitting doing nothing is a great place to start and I still do it. So if I don't know what to do, or I think, I don't feel like this, don't feel like that, I will just sit. I'll just sit and just be and just focus on the feeling of being. And then sometimes I get a little tingliness and I just go and revel. This is a great one. Revel in the fact that you don't have to do anything. Revel in that, allowing yourself, giving yourself permission. So allow yourself to go, I can just sit here right now. I'm giving myself permission. I know I said to my sister once, she was going, I must do this and I must do that. And I said, you don't must. You don't must anything. And then she used that for herself later on, whenever she felt like, I should be there. No, I don't must. I just sit until I feel inspired to do something. Does that help at all, Sadia? Do you still have questions or need?
I think this is something I need to practice on, because each time I would think about doing nothing, my brain would be, no, doing nothing is not a choice, it's not an option.
That is perfect, because that indicates that's a piece there, a reference there. And we all, not all, but a lot of us have that, especially if that was drummed into you in childhood. So for those of us who've been working from childhood, that's a big one. I know for me, definitely, it took a long time for me to get to that where I was able. And in fact, my sister and I swung right the other way. This was before we found everything we teach now. But I remember my sister and I going, okay, we're just not going to do anything. We'll play computer games all day. That's it. So we swung right the other way because we had that drive. Got to be doing something. Got to be doing something. So the idea of just, I would use that as an exercise. So you can time yourself even if you want to. You can just go, okay, I'm going to sit here and just be and watch the thoughts. So as your brain goes, oh, you should be doing something, watch it like traffic. You're just sitting here watching the thoughts go by. You don't have to do anything about them. You don't have to engage. You can see them as just traffic going by. Let that thought and let it go. And so you're not trying to stop the thoughts, you're just watching them and allowing them. And you can imagine like a river, and these thoughts are just going by on the river, and all you're doing is sitting watching them go by on the river. And when you feel like doing something, you'll do it, but you don't have to. You could sit here all day and just watch the thoughts go by. And see if you can do, and treat it as an exercise, because also for your conscious mind, and I know I've said this to people before, that is doing something. And that is doing the most powerful thing, because that is going to be what's creating and allowing you to create and do the stuff, achieve the things that you want to achieve. Because the struggle, the forcing, the pushing, and all that is just creating more struggle and forcing and pushing. Whereas this practicing, allowing yourself to not do anything, that's creating more ease, more, allowing things to happen without the struggle, without the drama, without the pushing. And the more you do that, the more it's going to happen naturally, because you've got your prefrontal cortex online, so you'll be more creative, more productive, more excited about doing stuff. But sometimes it takes a little time to get there. It takes a little time of just allowing. Sound good?
Yeah, thank you so much. I need more practice.
And again, with the practice, keep reminding yourself you're allowing yourself to practice. You're not making yourself. Today, I'm going to allow myself to just sit. Today, I'm going to allow myself to practice just being, just sitting, just relaxing. All right? And isn't that, I know it's difficult to make that switch when you're programmed the other way, because as I say, I've been there, but it is the most liberating thing in the world, the most liberating, empowering thing in the world, when you finally realize the power of it. Because what's more wonderful than knowing that you don't have to do anything? All right. How do you feel now,
Yes.
Sadia?
Well, I love.
Oh, I think she lost her internet connection. All right, so I'm sure she'll be back in shortly. So in the meantime, questions. Now I have an email question that I received this morning. Let me just find it. I had it here. Oh, I know where to find it. There. All right, so this is from Sue. Because yes, so Sue isn't able to necessarily speak online, so she sent me an email yesterday. Well, I won't read the whole email; it's quite long. So, but the question of it is, it's been feeling like hard work to change these memories, and so what she's picked up is that the belief that love has consequences. And so she went looking in her childhood and everything, the hurt and sadness stemming from rejection, abandonment, betrayal, criticism, and loss, which meant she became hardened. And that makes perfect sense. So she has a lot of experiences in her current relationship, and then the realization that her mother felt that with her father, with her mother felt that with her husband. So so she tried to change the memories of certain incidents that were proof of that, but it was not forthcoming. So more frustration. Tried to make a whole new story for my mother as an adult. I have a good picture of her as a young girl, even going into her teens, which does not appear linearly, but more of a full sense but as a married woman, that's not happening. Okay, good. So after doing this for a couple of hours, with a couple of breaks, my last comment was, why does it feel like such hard work? So this is actually a great opportunity to recommend the same kind of thing that I've just recommended to Monika and to Sadia. So I suggest just doing the allowing technique by just being. So, because we want to switch that. Why does it have to be such a, however you put it, why does it have to be such a chore, or why does this feel like such hard work? So we want to bring that down and just be, and do this whenever you feel like, oh, why is this such hard? Just sit and go, okay, I'm just letting it go. I'm just allowing whatever comes. So so do that first, because as long as the stress chemicals on your system, prefrontal cortex is offline, you're not going to find those memories and you're not going to be able to change them anyway. So just do the allowing first, allow it to feel that way. And then what you want to do is identify where the stoppage is. So, and the best question to ask yourself is, what happens when I try? So, like you say, you try to make a whole new story for your mother as an adult, and you have a good picture of her as a young girl going into her teens. So what happens when you try to make that new story for her as an adult? Where's the sticky bit? And what about, so you say as a young girl and going into her teens, what about earlier? So, and what about her parents? So what you're aiming for is that every generation has had the most wonderful, loving childhood. Every generation was born to two parents who couldn't wait to meet them, couldn't wait to have this baby. And their full focus, every single generation as a child had the full attention, felt safe, felt loved, felt validated and respected and supported and encouraged, got plenty of affection. And so all of that, you want to build all of that into, and this doesn't need to take long. This is just, you imagine a scene or two, whatever feels, whatever it takes to get that feeling, that knowing. And so if her parents were like that, then imagine how they would have treated her. Now, here's the truth. If your mum had been treated that way by two people who were also treated that way, with kindness, compassion, love, affection, everybody was very comfortable with expressing love and how much and it was always unconditional. I love you no matter what you do. I love you just because you exist. There's nothing else. There's no judgment. There's no expectations. If you install that in those early memories of those generations, then your mother growing up into a woman, there's no way a woman who had been treated like that as a child would put up with anything less from a relationship. When I try to create something, there is just the sense of collapsing in. Okay, so then what I would say is allow that collapsing in. Don't judge it. Doesn't mean anything. So allow that collapsing in and just notice what happens. Notice the sensation of that collapsing in, whatever that is. Notice the physical sensation and allow that physical sensation to be there without judgment. It's just a sensation. It doesn't mean anything. And allow that to be there until something shifts and it changes, or it just dissipates, or whatever. Just notice what happens and then come back to it. And you could take a break. You can go and do something else, something nice, something that feels good, and then come back to it. And so and here's the thing, if there is a reference that is stopping you from creating these new memories, it will come up. If your subconscious can't change it, you will suddenly remember or think of something. And that's why it's important to notice whatever comes up, even if something doesn't make sense. So suddenly something pops into your head and you think, well, that's nothing to do with it. Pay attention to it and change it. But also remind yourself that Everything, all of this is just neurons connecting in your brain. It's nothing else. There is nothing to do with your mother or your father or your husband. There's nothing to do with anybody. There's no, in your brain, there are no pictures. There are no people, obviously. There are no sounds. There are no feelings. None of that exists in the brain. All that the brain consists of is cells. That's all. And so when you have these memories, it's just cells connecting, just neurons connecting, information being passed back and forth. It's electrical thingies, electrical changes. That's all it is. And the power in reminding yourself of that, it gives you that ability to go, well, it's just my own neurons. It's the same as if you want to lift a weight, you just lift a weight. It's your own body. You get to lift it. This is your own brain. You get to decide which neurons are connecting. So I think it's really important there. When you've got a dog, and some people with dogs go, I just can't get them to, and they run around and they don't do this, or they won't, I can't get them to do something. The truth is, it's your dog. So then you train the dog. You do whatever it takes to train the dog. This is the same with your mind. Yes, your mind is doing its own thing. Your mind is automatic. It won't do this or it won't do that, but it's still your mind. So you get to choose what it does and how you direct it, which neurons you connect in what ways. So when that, and this helps when you've got the sense of collapsing, allow the sense of collapsing. It's okay. It doesn't mean anything. And then when you have a moment, or once that's changed, that's shifted a bit, then now start to imagine those the little ones, the generations as children. Start with your grandparents. Imagine them having the most wonderful childhood, the connection with their parents, the attention. Make sure that you've got those memories throughout the generations of the child walks into the room and the parents drop everything and pay attention to the child and show love and affection and attention and respect and encouragement, all of that. Every generation, including, of course, your mum. And then, so it's all about in her childhood. So yes, there's her relationship with your father, but it's got to be in their childhood, and do your father as well, of course. So make sure that your dad grew up with love and affection and kindness and compassion and attention and all of that, so that he grew up a completely different person. And then you can do the relationship between them. So I hope that helps, Sue. But if not, just let me know if you need more. You need more clarification. You need more help. All right, and I'm going to go back to Sadia to find out how. So Sadia, I know you lost internet there or something. So so was that okay? I can't remember where we were up to, but was that what you needed?
Yes, thank you. I was just going to say that, well, emotions usually are here to tell us something. So I think for me, it's that we were like kind of wired to do things all the time. So sometimes we just have to learn to just be.
Exactly.
So thank you. Yeah.
You're very welcome. And an analogy I want to share as well, because it's a great analogy, is that well, any animal, but I know that my family worked with horses for a while, and they sort of rescued or came into, somehow ended up with a polo pony. So the game polo, this pony had been used for playing polo, and they've got those sticks and they hit a ball or something, and on horseback. And the pony was always, because with the stick they dodge or whatever. Now there was no stick, but the pony was still doing that. And we are the same. So we were trained. Why aren't you doing something? Come on, do something. Don't sit around. Don't all of that. Now those people are no longer here saying that, but we're still doing it, just out of automatic programming. And so we take over from the people who, who did it before. And now we don't have to. And it just takes getting used to. So with that pony, it just took consistently being kind, consistently reassuring, and that, and eventually it didn't do that anymore. It relaxed. And we are the same. It's just being consistently kind with yourself, treating you differently to the way you were treated. Sound good?
Yes, thank you.
Good job. Very good. And you're very welcome, Sue. Good job. Hope that helps. And so, oh, I see Sue actually put her question in the chat. Sorry, I didn't see that before. Helpful for you. Oh, good. Okay, good. Doing nothing. Feel guilty that oh, yes, that's a good one. So sometimes that is such a powerful thing. I haven't even read the whole thing yet, but I know that injuring ourselves or being ill is very often a coping technique so that we don't have to do whatever. And I know that, so for example, being ill can be the only reason you don't have, something's not expected of you, for example. So, and you're not doing it consciously. It's not like you consciously think, well, I'm going to be ill so that I don't have to. It becomes an automatic, unconscious coping technique. So, so that's a great one to bring up there. And I know we're running out of time now, but Steve, are there any other questions? Oh,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah, we've got a couple. Did you find them?
I've seen the first one. Question: I struggle with big anger and resentment on he finally makes me do what I don't want to do, or finally gets what he wants from me. My coping skill is avoiding the person, silence, and avoiding the conversation. Practicing more and more the ESC as a superpower, I notice that I am overflowed by resentment and anger in these situations. I can't find any specific childhood memories related to that apart from a global feeling of being guilty for wanting something for me, or feeling guilty not giving money to child beggars, and they couldn't understand that I had no money. I've done many due justice letters related to my parents, but the resentment is still there. I'm in my car trying to unmute myself if possible. Thank you. Okay, so yes, there you are, Sylvie. Can I do unmute yourself if you are able to? There you are. Great. Hi, Sylvie. How are you doing?
Hi. I'm doing not so. It's not a good day.
Okay. All right. So the anger and resentment, and you say you've written the due justice letters, so that's good. Well done for doing that. And I mean, I would say there's more to write. You know, when we have if there's still anger and resentment, that means, you know, there's still more to write. But let's try using let's use the allowing technique right now. So the anger and resentment, can you feel it now?
Yes, I can feel it now. Yeah.
Good job. Very good, sweetie. Okay, so I want you to now home in on the physical sensation of it. So we're not going to give it any meaning, doesn't mean anything, it's just a physical sensation. Are you able to do that?
Yes.
Good. And now just allow that to be there. So in other words, we don't want to stop you from feeling anger and resentment. You don't have to. You don't have to stop feeling it. It's okay. It's okay to feel that physical sensation, whatever it is. There's no judgment, there's no expectations, and there's no need to make it stop or go away or change. Are you able to just allow?
It's not so easy because I immediately the judgment that I'm not. I'm supposed to be kind.
You're supposed to be kind. Yes. Okay. So that's good. So here's the thing. Kindness, being kind, is a result of feeling safe, and feeling good and inside yourself, being kind to yourself.
Mm.
Being kind to other people is not effective when you are in pain, because you can't give what you don't have. So it starts with you. It always starts with you. It starts with kindness to yourself. And then it overflows to the other people. So
this is the exact situation, because I was overwhelmed by the funeral of my mother yesterday, and somebody asked me to be kind with him. And if I wasn't able to be kind with him, I was selfish, and I had no compassion. I wasn't present for the people around me, and I couldn't help myself.
Yes, yes. Okay, and that makes perfect sense, Sylvie. And here's the thing, is that people often think that the way to help someone is to make that person do something for someone else. And that can be a distraction for some people, for some times, not always, not everybody. And it's going to depend, and even if it does distract for the moment, it does not heal. It does not change what's there. So your instinct to take care of yourself or to express yourself, that was spot on, and you were right. And so whoever was saying, oh, be kind to them instead, that's their programming. That's nothing. It doesn't mean it's right, and it doesn't mean you should. And I understand from what you've written here that your frustration was that I think you ended up probably doing
yes,
that.
I was so angry. It's not like me. And I exploded with anger, and I had the feeling it was really too much, and I thought there was something there, because it's not the first time, and it is always like that. People ask us. I try to be. I'm silent. I don't want to say no, and at the end it's just too much, and but they finally always get from me what they want, because I can't protect myself.
Right, exactly. Okay, very good. And so now, of course, we know this is going to go back to childhood. So do you have, I know you said you couldn't find anything, but do you have memories of little Sylvie being unable to protect herself?
I found memories of little Sylvie not able to speak, and I really and also it was related to saying I was obliged to say that I appreciate people that I didn't appreciate.
Oh, that'll do.
It was exactly the same thing yesterday. I was obliged to say that I was okay with something, but I wasn't okay.
Oh.
And I found that in my childhood, and that being forced to say that I appreciate people, but it's not true. And my parents asked me to say that, and I know they don't appreciate the people also, but I'm obliged to have a nice face in front of them.
That makes perfect sense. That really makes perfect sense. Now, are you able to change those memories? So that, and I would do a stepping stone where your parents ask you to do it and you say, I don't want to, that's not how I feel. And they go, okay, fair enough. Are you able to create memories like that?
Yes, I said the judge's letter that I wrote some days ago was about that. And it's just something must be still there.
Okay.
Because I try to do that. I try to for a specific person to make a new story, saying that we are going to holidays together, etc. But something is really sticking there.
Okay.
And I can't find it.
Yeah, and that may be because it needs that stepping stone. So you may need that stepping stone where your parents say, we want you to say you appreciate this person, whatever that was, and you say no, and they say okay. Does that make sense? Have you done that?
No, I didn't do
Okay.
that. I tried
That-
that.
That's very important because that's a separate piece of data. And that you want to empower that little you to stand up and go, no, I don't want to do that. And this goes for everybody. Have these memories. These are memories you can create that will empower the little you if you have similar references where so it's a stepping stone. So they say you appreciate whatever, and you go, no, I don't want to because that's not how I feel. And they say, okay, sweetheart, you don't have to. And that's a stepping stone. Practice that until it feels established. Then the final memory is they never asked you to do that.
Mm.
How does that sound? Are you able to do that?
Yes. I have to recreate the whole culture of my family in order to do that.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Remember that your family this isn't your family. This is just neurons.
Yes. Yes.
So luckily, the great news is they have no say. They have no say. You get to decide this time. And this is what's so empowering about all of this, is that you get to make these people do whatever you want them to do. And no one even needs to know that it's happening.
Yes. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And so what you're aiming for, the end result you're aiming for by doing these, by making, changing these memories, creating these new memories, is that you are in a position where somebody asks you to do something, or someone says, like that person said to you yesterday, and you go, I'm sorry, but no. And that's it. And let them, they do their cabaret, but it was terrible and all of that. And you just go, That's it. Right? That's what you're aiming for. That's the end result you're aiming for. Because you're empowered, and you don't have to make them feel good or make them stop. You don't have to make that child stop crying.
That was exactly that.
Yeah, and you can still feel compassion. You can still go, look, I understand, but unfortunately, so those are words to use that help to bring down the stress chemicals as well, is I understand, but unfortunately, I can't do that. And then you can stop.
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome. So you're not being mean, you're being compassionate, and everybody wants to be understood. So by saying those words, I understand what you're saying, but I'm sorry, unfortunately, I can't, or I won't, or I don't want to, or whatever the rest of it is. But those help very often to bring down that other person's stress or whatever, so that they're not as... All right.
It helped me a lot.
Good. You're very welcome, Sylvie, and well done for coming here. Well done for reaching out. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
All right, sweetheart. Good job. And Steve, were there any others?
One that I think that we could use to kind of transition into targeting, but a question: how would you explain the sensation of filling yourself with unconditional love?
So how would you explain the sensation of filling yourself with unconditional love? Okay, well, it depends on where you're up to. But for me, it's an opening in my chest, an opening in my heart. So it's like your heart swells with love. So when you feel that, and the feeling is a feeling of tingly. For me, I feel a little bit of tingly. Now, I have to say that tingly is not very strong. So it's not like, woo, I feel tingly. It takes noticing it. And I really think that we all feel this tingly, this wonderfulness every now and then, but we don't pay attention to it. So we don't notice it. So I think that, for me, it's an expansion feeling in my heart, in my chest, and it's a feeling of like a little bit of a buzz or a tingliness. So I hope that helps to explain. And the main thing to know that it's what you're feeling is that feeling in the heart, that feeling of love. So it's the same feeling of love that you would feel for your child as a baby, your pet, that kind of thing, anything that you don't have a negative connotation with. So I hope that helps. All right. Anything else, Steve? Is that it? We're going to target.
Yeah, I think that is it for now.
All right. Very good. So let's do the targeting. So take a deep breath and either close your eyes or leave them open, whichever you prefer. And go into your superpower state, however you normally do that. Feel that expansion feeling in your heart, that opening feeling in your chest. Allow that light or energy to shine. Allow that light or energy to spread down to your toes, up to the top of your head, out to your fingertips. Very good. Now allow that light or energy to fill each of the 50 trillion cells that make up your body. Love each one just for existing. Think of those cells. Think of the cells of your body as little creatures, little people. Love each little one. Each one is doing its best, working for you. So love each one in that way, just for existing. And now allow that light or energy to fill your subject. And imagine your subject doesn't want to be with you or doesn't have the qualities that you love and appreciate, and keep them filled with that light, that energy anyway. Very good. And let's go to Lisa. Fill Lisa with that light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Lisa just for existing. Very, very good. And now to Sadia. Fill Sadia with this same light, this energy. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Sadia just for existing. Good job. And now to Monika. Fill Monika with this same light, this energy. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Monika just for existing. Very good. And now to Swasti. Fill Swasti with this same light, this energy. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Swasti just for existing. Very good. And allow that light, that energy to overflow from Swasti and fill her exams, her IQ exam, and the results, whatever happens, whether it works out in her favor or not. Love it all, shining light into any darkness and loving Swasti anyway, no matter what, and loving those results anyway, no matter what they are. Loving everything and everyone. Shining light into any darkness. Very, very good. And now to Sylvie. Fill Sylvie with that same light, that energy. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Sylvie just for existing. And love Sylvie whether she finds clarity or not. Loving her exactly as she is and shining light into any darkness. loving it all. Very, very good. And now to all those who are off camera today and all those who are watching the recording, fill all of them with the same light, this energy, this love, loving each one just for existing, no matter what. Very good job. And think of yourself later today. Fill that version of you with this light, this energy, this love, no matter what you'll be doing or feeling or experiencing. And even if you just sat and did nothing, love that version of you exactly as you are, no matter what. No judgment, no expectations. Just for existing. And surge. Very good, and surge again. Good job. All right, you can open your eyes if you have them closed. And I hope that was helpful for everyone. I know we ran over, but hopefully it was helpful information. And you're very welcome. Thank you for the thank yous in the chat. And we will see you back tomorrow, same time, same place. Look after yourselves, keep practicing, keep watching these recordings, even if you watch the same ones over again, because you'll get the information on different levels. All right, everybody, lots of love to all of you. Swasti, all the best for tomorrow. I know that it's going to work out perfectly no matter what happens. All right, good job, you. Lots of love. Bye-bye now.